We are privileged to have the opportunity to have a chat with one of the world's top car builders, Troy Trepanier from Rad Rides. I'm proud to say he's a good mate of mine who I've known for many years, and I'm really looking forward to this extended chat. I want to start off with, actually, firstly, say I really do appreciate, I mean it, thank you for your time. And I actually first met you, you wouldn't have remembered me, but I first met you at the Coin in the late 80s at the Street Machine Nationals. You had the Rumbler. That would have been, I reckon, was that your first top level Street Machine?
No, that was the Rumbler. So that would have been, I did my 60 Chevy, which, well, actually my 66 Chevelle, my first car was Gray Baskerville shot it, so I got a feature in Hot Rod. Then I did the 60 Chevy. That was Hot Rod Magazine Car of the Year. Then I did my 50 Buick, and that was Hot Rod Magazine Car of the Year. And then I did the Rumbler.
So how old was your first car when you done your first car?
When I did my Chevelle and got in Hot Rod, I was probably, I'd have been
12.
17. Yeah. I was 8 before I was 7.
Yeah. I actually thought, was that the pink Chevelle with the
yeah.
I actually thought that was your
1980. Yeah, no, that was mine. That was 1986, 87. My grandfather bought that new and blew it up and gave it to me, and that's what started this whole mess.
Yeah, wow, isn't that awesome? That is absolutely unbelievable.
And I got lucky, to get in Hot Rod the first time with that car, so that was nice, and then it kind of just took off from there. They must have felt sorry for me.
No, not at all. But back at that time, because it had the big wheels, it was that Pro Street style, wasn't it? And that was
everything was Pro Street style, as you know, back then, back in DuQuoin. And like my 60 Chevy, I was there in 1990 with it, and it did really well. I had the only set of billet wheels at the Street Machine Nationals, Boyd Coddington wheels, in 1990.
Wow. Isn't that unreal?
Yeah.
And now look.
They didn't cross over much. The Street Rodders stayed on their side, and the Street Machiners were on their own world, and that kind of blended the both together.
Yeah. Mate, the next time I caught up with you was at the Sacramento Autorama, and I think you just finished the Sniper. I sort of got to know you a little bit more, and if you remember, Chick and we caught up with you at that event. So I guess the Sniper was, to me, it was really the car that put you on the world map. Would that be correct?
Yeah, I think so. I'd had a lot of success, obviously, early on with Hot Rod Magazine and everything, and that's obviously back when print media was everything, and so that was good. But the Sniper was the first big customer car that I did that had no boundaries for George, and it did. Once we built that car and drove across country, it kind of showed everybody that, to me, the sky's the limit, and we can kind of do anything. Yeah.
That car, just tell people a little bit about it, like the engine and engineering in that car was unreal.
Yeah, that was the 54 Plymouth Savoy convertible that we started with, and actually a quick story on it. So I had the idea to do it for myself, and I was talking to Chip one day, and I was just kind of saying, I want to do this 54 Plymouth with Mercedes headlights, Viper drivetrain, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I don't know if I can afford it myself. And I'm talking to him at home at my mom's house and dad's house. And he said, hey, go to the shop. And this is back when his fax machine, right? And he drew literally a 3-minute sketch of it. And I had it in my pocket on the power tour. And I met George. I'd already known him briefly. And he asked me, hey, what are you doing next? And I'm like, I got this old Plymouth I want to do. And I had this sketch. And he said, well, I learned how to drive in a 54 Plymouth. So the rest is history.
Wow. So that was the first car you built for George Petit?
Yeah. Yep. That was the first endeavor. I'd met him just like maybe a year earlier. Actually, I met him at Detroit Autorama. He had the Riddler Winner, and I had a car for a local buddy here, Danny Jacobs, 39 Chevy that we built. And we were going against each other. And that's how I met him. And he was shocked that I was going to drive that car across country. I'm like, well, that's why we built it. So it really, the timing was perfect. And by the end of the power tour, we talked every night. By the end of the power tour, I was looking for a 54 Plymouth to start with.
Yeah, wow.
And the kicker on that whole car, Owen, was awesome, was we unveiled it at SEMA that year. We built it in 13 months, and we unveiled it at SEMA and it was the 50th anniversary of Hot Rod Magazine. So they inducted like 50 guys into the Hall of Fame, and we unveiled it that night at the Hilton in the ballroom. It was really something.
Yeah, wow. That, like I said, that to me, that was the car that really put you on the global map. I remember seeing that car; it just absolutely blew my mind.
Yeah, and I think, as you know, and I think you could bring it out today, and it'd
Yep.
still be awesome. You know, it'd fit right in because it was so unique.
Yeah. Well, interesting you said that. Last time I saw that car was a few years ago. It was in the Peterson Museum down in the Vault.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Is it?
cycle it up. Yeah, it's still in the vault. They cycle it up and down quite a bit. You know, it gets up top and gets viewed. And they actually told me if I ever wanted to use it, I could go get it. And so one of these days, I'm going to go get it and haul it around a little bit just to show all the
Yeah.
people that never got to see it.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Had been in Sacramento. We had Chick and I had such a great time with you and your dad. He was obviously a really big influence on you, wasn't he? In more ways than one.
Yep. Yeah, he was the life of the party, as you know. And
yeah, absolutely.
And that's kind of what we missed probably the most here, you know, is just not the fun part of it that he brought, and, you know, and all the customers. And I was he obviously passed away way too early, but I was fortunate to live my whole life with him over here at the shop and grow up with him pretty much every day. So that was a great thing. You know, the biggest thing that bothers me, I guess, the most of the whole thing was just that my kids, you know, they never really got it. You know, they got shorted, but he was the best. He taught me the mechanical side of things and how to make things work. My grandfather was a pipe fitter, and he's the one that brainwashed me into making everything perfect. And then my dad is the one that kind of taught me how to, you know, make things work. So I always say that I welded pop cans together in my grandpa's garage because he was a union pipe fitter and a perfectionist. And then my dad was the mechanic. So I tore apart junk engines over here, and it dwarfed into this.
Yeah. So was that your dad was at the shop you're at now? Obviously, it's a lot bigger, but it was the same shop, wasn't it?
Yeah, same shop. He built this shop in about 69 or 70, actually, right after I was born. And that's the shop I'm sitting in right now.
In Manteno, which is quite interesting. It's very similar to Australia. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're building those good cars, people will come, won't they? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You know, that's, people always ask me, you know, when, you know, you're going to move and do this and that. And I'm like, no, you know, this is it. Luckily, they find you. You know, we're close to Chicago, which isn't good right now, obviously, but but Indy's close, Detroit's close, so we've got it's a good area to get all the stuff we need, and it's the car culture explodes in the summer when the weather's good around here.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, a lot of people think that everything that don't travel to the States, like, think everything revolves around LA and New York. Well, it's quite different. That Midwest area from Ohio right down, it's mad, isn't it? All the events are crazy that are over there.
Yeah. You know, it is. It's I like the Midwest attitude. I've traveled all over the world, and I always want to come back still, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good. Mate, you've obviously had a fantastic reputation as it was growing from the Sniper and all that, and through those years. You built some awesome cars, but I actually want to touch on, in early 2007, you built the Riddler, the 35 Ford Coupe First Love, and I just want you to give people a bit of an insight of what it takes to build a Riddler car. I know it's such an effort.
You know, that was a great thing. We unveiled the 32 Ford I built for Roger Ritzau, and it was the top 75 most influential 32 Fords of all time. It made that list, so it was a really nice car. And my dad had met Ross Myers at a Mustang event that summer, and talking to him, give him a little bit of time, and Ross appreciated it. So he's like, hey, I got a car I'd like to do, you know, for the Riddler. And talking to my dad a little bit. So my dad came home and goes, hey, I met this guy, you know, and he's talking about maybe building a Riddler car. It's a 36 Ford and Roadster. And I'm like, okay, does he know what it takes? So Ross ended up flying here then for the unveiling of Roger's car. That's when I first met him. And he really liked Roger's car, that style. So that was good. So I sat down and talked with him, and he kind of showed me the project. And he said, well, I bought this car when I was 9 for $25.
Wow.
And I kept it in my father's barn for, 40 years. And I'm at that moment right there, I knew I had the right customer. You know, he had the passion, and Ross and Beth were unbelievable. So going in, I had the team assembled here, and you have the right customer. And my whole approach on that car, Owen, was to give people something to look at that they haven't seen before. Like, they're not comparing it the whole time they're looking at it. So there's only so much you can do to the outside of a car. So we did all the wedging, chopping, all that stuff, right? But the bottom is where we went crazy on the mechanical side of it. And there's nobody that laid under that and was looking under how we did all that and said, wow, in a reference in their head, well, I've seen that before. So that was the approach we took. And I think that was the difference maker in that car. And I mean, it was an unbelievable effort. The last 6 months of that car, we worked 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. We had cots here, and there was about 20 of us working on it. I mean, it was a monumental effort, and it just came together at the end. And I still think to this day, and I think Chip would even agree, and the other guys, if they had a winner of all winners and you brought it back still and against everybody, not being naive, but it'd be really hard to beat the way the bottom was engineered and the way it was done, because it was so unique.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm glad you said that, because I was going to force that out if you're too humble to say that, because that car, like you say, the engineering was like, just go into a little bit about what the engineering was underneath that car.
So what I did is we did a twin I-beam front end, which it had 2 control arms, but it had a transverse leaf still, but it was up inside of it. So on the entire car, you didn't see any shocks or springs. The rear was cantilevered in behind the back seat, so you didn't see no shocks or springs anywhere on the car. So that was kind of a unique thing. And then the back was a quick change with inboard drum brakes, not disc brakes. So, it looked to be drums, you know what I'm saying? So that was kind of unique. Yep. And underneath, all the fasteners were blind fasteners. Most of them were hidden. It was all double skinned. It had a real, a FE motor in it, a legit aluminum FE motor in it, fuel injected, and, and everything. And just the 36 Roadster in general is pretty rare and trick, but it was wedged, chopped, just cut every way you can cut it. And I'd really always like to do a street version of the car, because I felt we got the shape of the body real nice. But the bottom of it was the key. I mean, there were so many details that made your head spin. I think about it once in a while, and it was just unbelievable how it came together. And I wish we could build it today. But the guys I got today and the equipment we have and the know-how now, it'd be even a much better car. It'd be a lot more usable and things like that. But it's nice. Ross actually has an incredible showroom at his place in Pennsylvania. Collections unlike nothing you've ever seen. And the building's as trick as the car. It's an old furniture warehouse he restored. And he had it on the display in its own room, like we displayed it for a long time. And then now he's moved it to he always wanted people to see the bottom of it. So now he put a one inch thick glass floor in, and he put the car on the second floor. So when you walk in the building, you look up, you're looking at the bottom of it. It's really something. Great guy. We're actually going to build him another car. We can talk about that in a minute.
Because you also built him the blue, was it you had to see him a couple of years ago, twin turbo thing. That was his, wasn't it?
No, the Belvedere was a different guy. That was David Meyer, different guy.
Yeah.
Yep. It's in the background back there. We're freshening it up. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, okay, that'd be good. Then I think a point that I'd like you to make there is that it's not for everybody to build a Riddler car. It can actually wear a business out, can't it?
Yeah, it's a rough deal if you're not set up for it. And now there's different levels, as you know. You've seen it. You might go there a year and there's nice cars and that one won, but it's okay, right? It's not wow, this year it's stacked, or like something Chip brought, or I feel like what we brought, or things like that. So it's not always that mega stacked year, but it's hard on a shop, and you got to have the right customer. I mean, you got to have a customer that is, to me, that has been in cars his whole life, that understands it. They understand what they're asking for, because it's a journey for sure. And like I said, that's why I brought up the story with Ross, that owning that car. He had so much passion. It was unbelievable. You knew you had the right guy, And I always wondered that, all the finite detail, he'd come visit. He was so excited, him and Beth, and they'd always look at it. And when he'd leave, I'm like, God, what a great guy. I wonder if he really understands the detail, And I went to his house, and it's all built out of reclaimed material and stuff. And I'm telling you what, the Riddler car is like a garbage truck. I mean, it's everything the man has is the level of that car. He just got a very good eye for detail. But it's very wearing on a shop. And then the next thing you get into, Owen, is you put so much time into one vehicle like that, it hurts the rest of the shop, because now most of the time you're not working on anything else. So you climb this big mountain, you get it done, and hopefully you win, because if you don't, it's a letdown, but it doesn't make the car any less,
Yeah.
It's still a great car, whether you win or lose. It's a matter of opinion is how I look at it. But now you come back and you haven't worked on anything else for a year, so it takes a while to dig out from it.
Yeah, you sort of, that's right. And which leads me to my next question. I can't believe some of the people you've built cars for, people like Glenn from Billet Specialties, and of course George Petit, we touched on earlier. Like, just those guys are just unbelievable, aren't they?
I've been very lucky. I mean, I say it probably 20 times a year. If you had a top 10 customer list in the United States, I've got 4 of the top 5.
Yeah, right.
Wes Rydell
Yep.
and his son. I've been building Wes cars
Yep.
now for 4 or 5 years, and it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And George, I've been building cars for George since '94. Glenn, Roger Ritzau built him the Chrysler, the 32, and then Ross Myers. We built him the First Love. So, and there's a lot of the Marianis. I've been hot on them lately. That was the Model A, the couple race cars, the Streamliner. So, I mean, I guess hopefully it's just because of the hard work and honesty all the years, but it's just a great thing. And what I like to do too with all these customers, they know my guys at the shop real well, and they interact with them. I don't have to be here; they can interact with them, and they have relationships with them, and I feel that's important. And you can only do that if you have the right guys. Obviously, some guys might be talented, but you don't want them talking to people. So it's very important how you do it. But I mean, now we're just doing basically repeat work, because I can't keep up with just the repeat work from our customers. It's just amazing. And
well, it's interesting you say that, because last year I was lucky enough to go down to the car farm, to George's car farm in Tennessee, and man, he could keep you busy for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's an amazing place, isn't it? That's what
unbelievable. I saw like 95 cars that day. It's just mad.
That's the best thing about George, is just he's the most nicest, humblest guy that came from nothing, worked his butt off, and has been so generous. He single-handedly made our industry 50% better by himself, whether it's buying parts for manufacturers or giving everybody in the industry a chance at some point. And people always ask me about him, and the best thing I can say is, I met him through cars in '94, and he spoke at my dad's funeral. So that's what I think of George.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, great guy. But like you said, lucky. You're not lucky. You're fortunate, and like you said, the honesty. You built some amazing cars for those people, and I think George, like I said, you could build cars for him for the rest of your life. Do you can build any more?
The fun thing about George, you've seen it, is, he'll have the Torino sitting there, a GT40, and then a John Deere tractor. That's the best
exactly.
Yeah, that's
how good is that
about George, man.
Yeah,
he's just
and then all those Fairlanes. How about how many Fairlanes he's got?
Oh my God, yeah, he's a Ford guy. He tries to buy up everything that he dreamed of as a kid he couldn't afford. So he's something else, man. I tell you, there's no better guy than that.
And I love the cars he's building with what he calls as like with the Rotor Shop chassis or whatever, and then just puts
the
a
Survivor
body
series
on it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
That's his new thing. Yep, that's his new thing for sure. We're doing one for him right now.
Ah, good. Yeah, okay, good. Mate, I know you absolutely love building like really special cars, but I think that you've also got a real love of the salt, haven't you? You still go to Bonneville every year?
Yep. That was another George thing, right? So back in probably '05, he'd been out there for a year or two, and a lot of people don't know, but he started in a flathead going 100 mile an hour. He just didn't take them, and jump right into a Streamliner. So he went through 4 or 5 years of working his way up the ranks before he got into the EcoFire Streamliner with Ron Main, Flatfire, and different names. But he brought me out there in '05, said, hey, you need to come out here and look at this. He said, this is a lot of history out here. And both a mutual friend of ours, Gray Baskerville from Hot Rod, that was his heaven, And Gray had always talked about it. So George wanted me to come out there, and he goes, a lot of history out here. It ties in with our industry. So I went out there, looked around. And then that year at Detroit, me and him and John Meany my dad were walking around. He's like, hey, let's build a Bonneville car. So I said, well, what kind of car you want to do? And I like Barracudas. Okay, 69. And then we did the 4-cylinder. And that started, I think we went out there the first time in '07. and got lucky. We set a record right away, first time out of the box, and it was just never forget it. You know, it was awesome because I was scared to death, and that's a different ball game.
Did you drive that?
No, George. But you're strapping your customer and good friend in there. You know, it's a whole different deal than building these street cars and show cars. So so we did that, you know, and went through different engines and had great success with the Blowfish. I mean, it's iconic. It might be the probably most visual thing we've ever done, I think, just because you're able to use it so long. You know, we're still racing it. It's got 4 or 5 records, been 320 mile an hour. Introduced me to a whole new lot of people out there and stuff. And it solidified what we do here, Owen, is making things work. And I did all them power tours all them years, and we drove them cross country. And that when you go out there, it's not a car show. It has to work. So what I like about Bonneville is it separates the men from the boys because you got to put up or shut up out there. It ain't your opinion on something or, well, I like that car. Or, boy, it drives good. You either put the number up or you don't. So that's what I liked about Bonneville. And being out there with George, obviously we were groomed for success. And, you know, that grew into helping him on his Streamliner and then meeting the Marianis. That's how I met the Marianis, through George out there. And I built them 2 race cars and the Model A so far. And it's just and I've got 2 more cars on slate to build for Bonneville as soon as we get time. So it's awesome. And I love the challenge of it, you know. And so we're trying to get George's son-in-law in the 2 club right now with the Blowfish. So we put a smaller motor in it. It's naturally aspirated, and trying to get him in there right now. So it's been a challenge. But George is the king of Bonneville. He'd never tell you that, but he's been over 445, 50 times now. What he does out there behind the scenes, nobody knows. You know, donating extra ambulances, all the meals for the volunteers, extra cones, shirts. I don't care what it is. He's always the first guy to step up.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's run some pretty good numbers there, pretty good times there, hasn't he? Speeds.
Yeah, he's the best. The fastest I think his fastest one-way pass is maybe 475. He'll get to 500. Not that that's really his goal, but he'll get there. We were going out there 3 times a year when the salt was good, you know, on the private events and stuff. And I seen it go by, Owen, from about 100 yards away at a FIA event. So there's only 4 or 5 of us out there at 444, about 100 yards from it. It was something else. So he's incredible, though. You know, he's such a smart guy. You know, he'll get out of the car and you look at all the data, you know, and there's miles of it. And he'll tell you everything that happened in that car. I mean, right on spot with the data. He can slow his mind up so much or whatever. I don't know. I can't concentrate like that. It's amazing what he can do, man. He's a good driver.
Yeah, it's mad. Yeah, and
it has nothing to do with money either.
No.
You know, nothing to do with money. Because I've seen a lot of money thrown at some projects out there that can't get out of their own way.
Yeah. Unreal.
And a lot of the builders from here, you know, are kind of following us out there. Alan Johnson's been out there, Andy that used to work for me, and they're kind of dabbling. And they're kind of seeing, they tell you the same thing. It's not instant success out there. I think we, maybe from our mechanical background and a little bit of luck too, we went out there and had success right away. But they're finding out how hard it is to do it.
Yeah. I actually caught up with George at, I think it must have been SEMA last year, and I said to him, I'd love you to come out and have a run at the salt here in Australia, and so I'm going to keep working on him. All right.
I'd love for him to put the Speed Demon and the Blowfish in a container and come over there, because obviously your salt's a lot healthier than ours. If it doesn't rain here, we're okay. It is thinner, but as long as it's dry, it's fine. But the problem is there's no margin of error because it is so thin. The rain kills it instantly.
Yeah. All right. We need to work on that. You and me will work on him. All right.
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, in 2008, like that's a fair while ago now, but I think you remember this. Chick and I, we caught up with you in a bar, you and Jack, in a bar in Detroit, and we had to wine and dine you and talk to you all night, but until you said yes to come to Summernats. So I want you to tell me a little bit about that whole Summernats experience.
Well, I've known you and Chick a long time, and always enjoyed the company, obviously, and I remember the meeting. I remember sitting there at the Crown Plaza, I think it was called at the time. I don't remember sitting there talking, and that was an exciting time, and the timing worked out. And I tell you, it was the funnest car trip I've ever done by far. So The Summernats were awesome. You know, I grew up in the street machine world where a lot of these guys involved in our industry today that weren't at DuCoin, they don't understand it. So that's kind of what the Summernats is to me. So I'm glad that I met you guys back then and you stayed persistent and I got over there because it was a great family trip and just to see all the guys, and it was amazing. The response I had was fantastic, you know. And
were you surprised at how well you were known here in Australia?
Yeah, you know, we'd always tried to stay in with, you know, David Featherston, and the guys always kept us in the books over there, and it really paid off because, you know, when we showed up, people obviously knew who you were, but they knew all the cars. I mean, I must have signed 500 of those 60 Chevy Hot Rod Magazine centerfolds from 1990. So
wow.
It was a great reception, and, you know, and Australia is a beautiful place. And I mean, because of you, met one of our lifelong friends and one of my dad's best friends, Robbie. You know, it was just, it was a awesome. great time. And me and my kids were talking about it the other day. And I mean, like I always tell them, go to school and ask them how many of your friends have been to Australia.
Yeah, mate, we loved having you, and I'm gonna work on you. I'm still working on you to get you back, so
I'll be there again. There's no doubt.
Yeah, you will. I know you will. But, also, it's something else I wanted to run by you. You've won so many incredible awards, from like the Builder of the Year, the America's Most Beautiful Roadster. You're inducted into the Hall of Fame. You won the Battle of the Builders, and you've won just about every major show and Bonneville. So, do you actually have a very difficult question, but do you actually have a favourite, or do you have a couple of favourite things, with something you really set out to win?
Well, you know, like the Bonneville records are, like I said, it's nobody's opinion. You either do it or you don't. So those are prized possessions because they're hard to get. You know, we got lucky, went on a string of just record, and in the last 6-7 years, just getting our butt kicked. So those are really good. And then, you know, the Riddler thing was such a big thing here. That was always something to put your eye on, and then the AMBR, and, you know, and now it seems like we don't compete as much. I mean, the Battle of the Builder thing was up and coming, and we had the Model A there, so why not? And there again, Model A is probably one of the best cars we ever built, but it still 100%. Comes down to a matter of awesome. Opinion, you know. Yeah. And that car drives the best driving car we've probably ever built. First trip in it, Mariani's went 3,000 miles. It's just unbelievable. All the engineering we did actually worked, Owen, so it was good, but yeah, you know, we do it for the challenge as much as anything now, and to build the customer what they want and something they can really use. And like, I guess honestly, one of the Wes Rydell's 41 Oldsmobile called Agnes, the 4-door, green and tan, it's got over 30,000 miles on it in 2 years. That's a pretty good trophy for us, you know. And it's a high caliber car. You know, it won you can win any award, but it's, you know, daily driving the thing. So that's kind of what we're really geared at here lately. And we're working on some more big award cars coming up, but they're going to be, everybody says it, but we do it. They're going to be geared to drive, and they're going to drive. So I think that's the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's actually, I was going to make that comment that you definitely are building cars worthy of an absolute elite show level, but nearly everything you do now drives, doesn't it? Great mechanically, great engineering. Yeah.
Has to be. That's the difference. And all them power tours, we did 10, 12 of them, and all the good guys tours, and pretty much everything we've built's been cross country, and you learn the whole time, you know, on what to make better and more comfortable and so on. And it's really paying off. And this car we're building right now for Wes, another one, is going to be the just top shelf function. I mean, obviously it's off the charts quality wise, but it just, I mean, it's as good as a new OE car to drive, pretty much.
What's it? What is it?
It's a 41 Chevy Fleet Line. We took a 4-door and a 2-door and melted them together, so it's a long 2-door with a 4-door roof. And I mean, the body is moved everywhere. The fenders are moved up. Built the roof from scratch, based off of a 4-door. Built the hood from scratch. It's really something. It's a sporty version of the Agnes car we did for him. And it'll be done midsummer, and it's really something to see. And we're going to haul a stock 4-door around with it, because you got to have the car we started with it. Yep. Because otherwise you won't get it. Because
you wouldn't know how much has been done to it. Yeah.
No, exactly. My God, no, it's crazy.
He's an amazing guy. I caught up with him up at Minneapolis, and he was telling me he's got something. How many dealerships has he got? Something
98, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say over 90.
Yeah.
And what he was
he's the largest in North America.
Wow. And what he was telling me, he said he's at an age now where he likes to get young guys into the dealerships and then just basically gets them up and running and obviously sells it to them and then just moves on
Yeah.
to do that. So great guy,
Yeah,
isn't he?
he's a great guy. He's a great judge of character, and an honest guy, and that's why it works for him. His dad gave him one dealership, and he turned he turned it into that. So he's quite a story, man. I tell you, he's a great guy to work for, because like this car we're building now, this 41, he envisioned the whole body thing. Him and Adam that worked for me fine-tuned it, but all this moving the fenders up and doing this and doing that, he envisioned it all. I mean, he's got a really good eye for those cars, and he's a smart man, been in cars his whole life, and is a joy to work for. And we're building his son, we've done work for all of his sons, and we're building his son a 50 Olds tin Woody that's going to be a Riddler car here eventually, because he wants to, his dad won, so he wants to try to win that. So, and it's going to be a pretty spectacular piece. We're about halfway through it.
Wow, I didn't actually think that you'd do another Riddler car. So
I fought him on it. I didn't want to, but because he'll want to after the show, go drive it in the snow, and I want him to. So we're building it to it is, you see what you see is what you get. There's no covers, there's no fake nothing like a lot of it is, and we're not culprits of it either. But this is a mechanical piece that's cut up and just super trick, but it's going to be, you'll be able to see everything, and it's twin turbocharged, but it'll really be something. It'll be might be our best, just because it's a Woody wagon and just a lot of things going on. So it'll be pretty interesting. But it is going to be do that event, and then it's going to be out and get on the road, beat to shit. So that's just part of it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, actually, that's a bit of an exclusive, mate. I actually didn't think you would probably do another car, but like you say, you get the right customer. It makes it's different.
And I kind of fought him on it. I'm like, man, you sure? I said that. Then I said, we'll do it, but it's got to be done in a point where it's 100% function, because I know how the right L's they use the cars, and I want them to use the car. So who knows? We may even drive it home from Detroit. That might be a good statement, right?
Wouldn't that be cool? You could drive it there under covers, mate. Just have a little peephole.
Let her eat. Let it snow and let her eat.
That's really good. Hey, mate, in 2010, after you were out here, we actually we talked about doing a scholarship, and we sent a young Chad Ackland over to you for a bit of experience. He absolutely loved it, and he's still got a great business here in South Australia. Was that a good deal for you?
Yeah, Chado, I'd call him. He was awesome. We introduced him really well. I don't know if you ever heard the story or not, Owen, but he came to Detroit. That's where he flew into. I think, or whatever. Moose picked him up, and he was rooming with me and Moose, which I didn't know if he knew that or not. So we're out having some grog, as Robbie would say, and some beer, and we went up to the room, and he was in the bathroom. I said, "Hey, Moose, watch this." So I stripped down to pretty much my underwear and laid face down on the bed. So when he came out of the bathroom, that's what he'd seen. So you couldn't have picked a better kid, man. He had a great personality and a lot of ability, but in personality and character is so big in what we do, because you spend so much time together. And he was spot on, man. And I wish he could have just stayed here and worked. He was a good kid, and he'll have so much success. He's got it. He can see what's right. He's not afraid to try things. Talented guy, and just a great person. That's why he's going to do well.
Yeah. Family is really important to you. I've tried to get you out here a few times, and it's been in the middle of your kids' softball season and all that. So you do a lot of stuff with your kids, don't you? Or you have in the past. Yeah.
That's everything, Owen. I mean, it's I was into sports in school, so I had that interest also. And a lot of the car guys don't, like Chip and Roy Briscoe. All these guys, they were never into that, and that's okay. But I was into that as much as I was cars. I got started in cars later. But I guess my claim to fame, like for my daughter played college softball, is I made every game for 4 years, and that's a lot of plane flights, because they play all over, United States. And that's where I shut my brain off, and I love that stuff. So that's my kind of getaway. That's my hobby. And
I
I
didn't
love
know
what I
this,
do.
I didn't know this, but your dad told me when he was out here that all about the trailer and all the stuff you built for that team.
Oh yeah. Now we spread the fun. I hauled a trailer around and we tailgated and all the way from when she was young, from 8 on up. We coached for about 6-7 years. Me and my buddy had just a great time with the family, and then my boys watched everything they did, and it's so important to me. You can't get that time back, so I don't want to miss any of it. And that's kind of people ask me what's the best part of having your own business, and that is the best part. Being able to, if you need to work on Sunday, work on Sunday. But if you need to be there somewhere with them on Monday, you go. And that's the trade-off. And now they're daughter's a nurse. She's right in the middle of the COVID thing. She works up towards the city and doing a good job. And then my one son's sophomore at University of South Florida in Tampa, Jack Jr. So he's down there drinking like his grandfather.
Exactly.
And then Luke, my young guy, he's a junior in high school still, and he just accepted a college scholarship to play baseball at a Division I school, Bradley University. So not for a couple of years, but I'll have some more baseball to watch. So that'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's really good.
And it's nice. And then my wife, obviously. But I grew up that way. When we started this whole car thing, my mom and dad went everywhere with me. And I think that's what helped a lot, like with Hot Rod Magazine and stuff. I was a young guy, did it as a family, and that whole dynamic just worked. And obviously my old man was able to open a lot of doors with his personality. That didn't hurt either.
Exactly.
And my mom went along with it. So then, my mom worked with me for a little while. And then, of course, my dad worked with me, probably the last 10 years of his life, at least. Probably more than that. I'm probably wrong, but at least 10. He kind of slowly closed his business and was working for me. And then my sister works here, and then my Angie, of course, runs the whole show. She does all the, human resource, payroll, billing, everything. So she's the one behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know that really makes it work. And we get a lot of young guys here that move from out of state, so she helps them a lot. So it's definitely a team effort. Family effort.
Speaking of that, I was actually going to ask you, how many guys you got there full time now?
There's 10 of us total, counting me. Because I count myself because I'm not in the office at all. I'm a fabricator. So there's 10 of us, and I could use, if there was 30 of us at the same quality level, the work's there. But that's a little out of control. So 10's a good number. The group we have right now is highly skilled, work well together. And we're always looking for more guys, but everything we're doing now is such brain surgery. We challenge ourselves so much. You got to be pretty skilled, and it's hard to find a young guy that has the ability coming in the door right away. I mean, there's a lot of hope, but it's hard for us to train guys right now because we're always chasing the time clock. We're always behind. So it's a tricky thing, but I've got a couple of guys that are absolutely the best in the industry, period. I'd put them up against anybody.
Yeah. Oh, I know you've got great guys, and one thing with you give them, you got faith in them, so you let them do their own thing. I mean, obviously under your guidance, but you trust them to do their own thing, don't you? Yeah.
Most of them have passed me though. They're better than I ever was. So I just stand there and take the credit now. But no, it's good. You got to let them. You got to keep your ears open. You learn something every day. And that's just how you got to approach it.
Yeah. And those you do everything in house pretty much now, don't you? Everything.
Yeah. The only thing we don't do in the shop here is the powder coating, which is done locally, and the chrome plating. Everything else, all the interior paint, chassis dyno, build the bodies, all the wheels, all the engine parts are all machined here. So it's really the only way to do it. There's such big complex projects and take so much time that it's hard enough to get them done on time anyway. So you got to be able to control all of it, and then the quality and design also.
So do you? This is a bit of a loaded question. Do you actually in Australia, like the really good builders, they don't? What they do is they usually they get obviously pay as you go, but at the end of the thing, they usually cut money off it because it just sort of. I don't know. Whether they actually sort of make a lot of money, they just sort of really make a living. How do you sort of manage that?
Well, that's normal a little bit. I always tell when I talk to young guys, it's a give and take business, especially when you're getting started. I go into a shop if I'm on a tour somewhere and I look around, see what their labor rate is, and see what kind of equipment they have. Because sometimes these guys will be charging more than I am, and they got a quarter of the equipment ain't been in business very long, and they don't usually do really well. These guys that when you get a true car guy that you're working for, they've earned their keep. They understand it. They're not dumb. You know, they didn't win the lottery. They earned their money. So,
Yes. Yes.
So there's give and take as you get up to a point, you know, and then when you get the equipment, you got to have experienced guys. Then it's you got to bill for the time, you know, because you've got the equipment, you've got experienced guys, and it's tough at the end of some of these. You know, we've done a lot of give and take over the years, but you know, that's when you have the right customer, they understand what it takes, and you know, they understand it's a business, and you know, you got to pay everybody, and there's overhead and so on. But it's a rough game for some, but you never get rich at it, and it's because you're selling labor. You know, you're selling hours, and there's only so many hours. You know, like when the machining centers run all night, nobody's touching them, and you're making money. That's obviously you know, manufacturing. So that's where the extra money is at per se. Yeah. But you know, labor is labor. You know, I don't care how you sum it up. There's only so many hours. So we've made a really good living at it, and it just keeps getting better. You know, but you'll never make that obscene money. No matter, in the cars are obscene. They cost you know, what they cost is obscene. You know, but by the time you pay skilled craftsmen and have the right equipment, it just takes a lot of money.
Yeah. Have you got not necessarily one of your cars, but it can be one of your cars? Have you actually got like a favorite build that over all the time you've been in the industry? You got a favorite car?
You know, several of them for different reasons, for sure. Whether it's the people or just boy, I'm really interested in that car. You know, things like that. I mean, obviously the Blowfish has been great because it's been going on for 12 years. That was our first race car. That was pretty darn good. The stuff we did with Roger is a lot of fun. Him and his wife built his wife that 55 Chrysler. That was for her.
Yeah,
you know,
you loved that, didn't you?
Yeah, they'd come down every other week and have lunch with us because they were close enough, and really enjoyed that time with Nancy and Roger, and just the interaction that we have with Wes, and almost on a daily basis with him, and then the interaction with George on all the tours, and it's the people probably more than the cars, honestly. That make it fun. You know, I mean, we're going to build the cars will be cool and nice, but there's a few, you know, obviously the Chrysler was good. The Model A was fun. That's kind of out of our wheelhouse. Got a couple coming up that are going to be pretty interesting. That Olds Tin Woody I was talking about, another car for Ross Myers. We're going to do a 36 Ford Roadster with no fenders, which hasn't been done. So that's a lot of body fabrication to make it look right. And that's going to be an amber car, but a driver, and kind of torsion bar based off the Model A a little bit. Got a 40 Hudson pickup we're going to do with no fenders. Pretty interesting. And these Bonneville cars, one of the Bonneville cars that's on slate would be in the Lakester class, where most guys would use a belly tanker. But we're going to build a 30s Mercedes body inspired by a 30s Mercedes race car. That style of car with a canopy, with an inline 6-cylinder and stuff. It'll be a very historic looking car built from scratch. So there's a lot of, I guess the best one we haven't done yet. Let's put it that way.
It's really interesting, like, just to hear you still have the passion in there. You're excited by the challenge, aren't you? Building something different. Yeah.
No, it is. It's the challenge. I had a guy come up to me at SEMA this year, seeing the Cadillac we just finished, the 59, and he was from Dubai or somewhere, and very knowledgeable about Cadillacs, had 10 or 20 of them, and was building one similar to the one we built. And he's like, man, this is what I want. You know, will you build me one? And I said, man, I'm not really interested. You know, they're really hard cars to do. There's so many pieces, and I've already done it. So I kind of checked it off my list, and you know, you can only do so many, and luckily we're busy, so you can. Probably been a good, profitable job, but it's like, I've already done it. So let's move on to something else.
Mate, early on in your career, you did some TV or video stuff. And I remember you telling me you didn't want to lose your whole life to that stuff. You wanted to build some really cool cars. But I see you've got a bit of a new TV deal going. Is that right? Yeah.
So what we did, and you read it right, because I told you that. When we did first TV stuff, we were fortunate. We were one of the first ones. And I was on slate to do all the overhaulings the first year with Chip. I made it through 2 of them, and it wasn't for me. I was gone too much. And he put a lot of effort into that, and he deserves everything he gets. But it wasn't for me. But then we did the ride shows on TLC, and we did a discovery thing with the Blowfish, and those were nice because it was on the shop. But you kind of got to pick one or the other. You know, they're just, you get too busy. And my whole thing was the integrity of it and being a professional, not buying into this crap where you're deadlines and fighting with people and all that stuff. It's just not me. And
it's horrible, wasn't it?
It's not who we're working for, you know, and it takes a lot of time, as you know, to build these cars. And what they don't show on most of these shows is they don't show anybody using any equipment. You know, it's all in the background. It's like just the fluff and buff of the thing. It goes from a drawing to taking the body off the frame to let's paint and putting it back together. But so what, our website sucks and we don't put a lot of time into it. You know, our joke is we only know what goes on here because we stay off of social media because it keeps our designing more fresh. The problem with social media, it's a double-edged sword. It's a necessity, but you go to the Street Machine Nationals, everything looks the same because everybody sees what everybody's doing and so on.
That's true.
We stay away from that a little bit, but like per se, Australia, you know, our website's not very good, so they don't really know what we're doing. So I thought, you know what? Jared, that used to work for me 10 years ago, he worked on the Car Fix show down there for a long time and was ready to move on. So he always wanted to do something. So I'm like, well, I said, I'll do something, but it's got to be, it can't affect what's going on in the shop. We're not going to stage anything. Nothing's staged. No deadlines. If you can come up in, 6-7 days a month is all it is. If you can, or, whatever, a week or two, if you can film that and edit it to where it's interesting to watch, let's try it. So that's kind of the approach of it. He worked for me for 10 years. He understands what goes on here, how professional we are. We'll still have fun, obviously, but show what really happens here. Stage nothing, no deadlines, and see how it works. So we're giving it a shot. And the first episode was kind of mainly a little bit of history stuff and just kind of an introduction. And now we'll start getting into other things. And but I think it'll be all right. If it works, that'll be great. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world, whatever. Yeah. But at least some people get to see what we're doing a little bit. And being on Amazon, it's Finding Fast, is what it's called. And being on Amazon was a good venue because, you can watch it anytime. People all over the world can watch it anytime. And you bring the format to them. They don't steer the content, and that's why it works. If you go to the network, they want to steer the content. Now you're back to arguing and there's a deadline and all that crap, and it's just not what we're into.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
What's the guy? I met the guy. He was in your ear, man. He was hassling you at SEMA about doing that story, wasn't he? So he finally talked you around. I like it.
Yeah. It takes some prying because I like coming over here and doing what I'm doing and not being interrupted. So I think it'll work all right. But at least it'll give people a chance to see a little bit what we're doing and how things are actually done. I mean, it ain't gonna be watch the episode in the beginning. We're taking the body off the frame, and then it's done. I mean, it's gonna be drug out, and it's harder to edit that way. It's harder to make it interesting. I mean, I know why the format is that way, but we're gonna just see if it works. So it's kind of a little more like a documentary more than a, I guess, show. So we'll see.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. I won't keep much more of your time. I'm sure you're busy there today. So what's sort of going on behind you there? What cars you got there you're working on?
Well, we got the liner in here. We had built it 5 years ago, so we went through it last basically July and August to get it ready for October. So we tore it down to nothing, went all back through it. We went 350 mile an hour with it 2 years ago. It's naturally aspirated, so we qualified for the record, but it rained out, so we didn't get the chance to back it up. But really finally got a good track to show what the car can do. So it's ready to go. The Belvedere's in the back there, the 66 we built. We're just freshening it up, going through the motor. Did 4 standing mile events, Hot Rod Drag Week, all of that. Has the standing mile record at 209, which is awesome for that car. 4,800 pounds, 8-inch wheel, 209 in the standing mile. Then we did Hot Rod Drag Week and did really well. It ran 970 at 150. So it was awesome. So that's a legit car. So we're just freshening it up and got a little 32 Muroc body to finish for a guy back here. And in the back room, we've got the 41 Chevy for Rydell we're working on. We're about a week away from going to the body shop with it. And that'll be covered quite a bit on the TV show, the different aspects of that, because there's probably 4,000 hours of metal work in the thing. I mean, we made all the trim, all based off of what the Chevy might have had. It's a massive project. So that is, and then the third gen Camaro that's been with us for a long time, Joe's car, we're making an honest effort to get it done, because it's the time for it. You know, the third gen stuff's coming around, and it's amazing that we put a picture of that car on the internet, and it's the most hits we'll ever get on anything. It's just amazing, that car. I just can't understand it. So it won't be for everybody, but people really appreciate the fabrication on it.
Yes.
And then I've been working on a 61 four-door, this Brookwood wagon for George that he actually bought from Glenn at Billet Specialties. It's an 8,000-mile original car. And I put a Morrison chassis under it. And George, believe it or not, doesn't own a single thing until he bought a new Ford GT with a turbo on it. So I brought him for riding that Belvedere a while back, and I think he liked it. So I didn't give him a choice. I bought a LS6 376 and a single turbo. So he's going to have a four-door Chevy wagon, kind of survivors. We're going to patina, not paint it or nothing. But badass drivetrain on a Morrison chassis. So I've been working on that pretty hard. And then we'll get back into the 50 Olds Tin Woody. We're about halfway through it. We got quite a bit done, but a lot to go. So we'll get back on that once we get Wes's car to the body shop. And then hopefully we'll get a chance to, in the near future here, to start on probably the 36 Ford Roadster project or one of the Bonneville projects or the Hudson project, or at some point we're going to have to start on all of them and just trickle them along, I think. So, but we've built enough stuff now over the years, and the people drive them. We have a lot of repair work all the time. So we're constantly working on, I'm going to dig this. Right. Glenn wants to dig the chicane out and get it ready to drive on another tour and things like that. So there's always something to do.
So that's interesting. I didn't even think of that, but you're right. You've been building cars for so long, and those people use those cars. So you get them back to do refurb on them. Yeah.
It keeps us busy. I mean, the Chrysler Roger's been on 5 tours with it. We work on it a lot and clean it up for him. And pretty much everything we built's been driven, and some of them been crashed, so we fix that. And but that's my motto now, Owen, is I'd rather wreck it than wipe it off.
Mate, look, that's awesome. So look, you're not going to get out without me asking you these questions. So I was actually trying to get you down for MotorX this year, but obviously that's been put on hold because of the whole COVID deal. So I'm going to get you with everybody can hear you. You'll be down soon, won't you?
I promise I'll be back. Put it that way.
Soon.
100%. Hopefully we can bring a car soon.
Yeah,
sooner than later.
Deal.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to bring, like me and you talked, bring a car down there. Or
absolutely, that's what I want to do. Yeah.
Whether it's an iconic one we built or to unveil one, one way or the other, it would be a lot of fun to do something like that instead of just showing up without something. Because it's always fun to stand around something. Because the response we got at the Summernats was unbelievable. And the car culture there is as strong as it is here. So it's fantastic. And plus, they go down there and hang out with Robbie and yourself. And we were talking about the other day, me and Jack, where you brought us up on the hill there and showed us the carriage and all that. That conversation came up the other day. So that's great memories. Great memories.
Yeah, no, it was great. It's great having you guys. Oh, look, I'm really looking forward to. So we'll talk about that. We'll definitely make that happen, and we'll make it happen with a car. So that'll be awesome. That's good.
This is the 61 Brookwood.
Okay.
8,000-mile original car.
Wow. That's the one. Oh, yeah, you're saying for George. Yep.
Little turbocharger and stuff in it. So
yeah, fantastic.
It'll be pretty cool. And this is the 4-door turned into a 2-door. So we started with a 4-door and built the roof from scratch. The fenders are moved up 2 inches front and rear, and we made the fenders. It's got Cadillac LaSalle headlights. We made the bumpers, made the hood, all the suspension stuff.
Look at that metal work. Wow.
Got an LT1 in it that's a Lingenfelter, stroke 417, made 650 horsepower.
Wow.
See if we can get some. So we made the bumper, the valances. Let's see if we can find some trim here. You can see all the seams, a lot of work in the roof, all the dash.
Did you say you made the fenders on that car?
Yeah. And then
That's-
the roof also, you can see the seams here.
Yep. Wow.
Then the hood's built from scratch too.
Wow. Awesome.
And it's all based off, obviously, what we started with. Just, this was a 4-door, so the doors are lengthened about 2 inches from a 2-door and 14 inches from a 4-door. It's chopped 1 3/4 inches up here, and we took about 3 inches out of the crown of the roof.
You know what I like about Wes? He just builds such odd cars, aren't they?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like he doesn't build Camaros and Chevelles and stuff. It's just this way out stuff.
Cleaned all the trim, taillight trim. These are Cadillac LaSalle bumpers. So lots of pieces and parts. Made a 41 Chevy steering wheel. So then just a little.
That's awesome. Unreal, mate.
That's about it.
It was so awesome to catch up with Troy. I would like to wrap up with 3 takeaways from our chat. Firstly, how family-oriented he is. He was really close with his dad and now spends so much quality time with his own family. Secondly, how much passion he still has after all these years and all the fantastic builds that he's accomplished. But he also set so many great challenges for himself, and you can tell that's what really drives him now, to have a better engineered and a more drivable car, every one. And finally, what really blows my mind is his customer base. He is some of the most wealthiest people in the US, like people like George Petit, Wes Rydell, and as you heard him say there, he actually owns 93 car dealerships throughout the States and the Marianis, but they all understand what it takes to build vehicles of this caliber. And testament to that, he's building another Riddler car, which I thought would never happen. So I can't wait to see that finished. I really appreciated the time that Troy took to speak with us, show us around his shop. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.